Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Samp and Chance. Vince McMahon is back. The WWE is for sale. All
As
this
predicted on
and
SAMP&CHANCE over many podcasts.
all this and much more as we get into the show. I am
Yeah.
Bobby Sampson, and I am joined with the man with the master plan, Mr. Chance Michaels. Chance, yeah, here we go, bro. It all kind of started coming out at about 7 p.m. Pacific last night that WWE was sold to a financial holding group in Saudi Arabia, and since then things have quietened down a bit, but it looks like things are going fast, man.
Yeah. Good for Vince. He built it. It's his brand. Sell it. Make as much money as you can. Highest bidder. The people that don't like him selling to the Saudis, they can walk out if they want to walk out. It's his business, right? They don't like it. Some people say they'll walk out and go to AEW. I know that sounds harsh for me to say, but like the man built it. He's right. It's not Stephanie's. It's not Triple H. They don't deserve it. McMahon deserves every penny that he gets from it. So highest bidder wins.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, I have
we
no
can complain
problem.
about Saudi Arabia. These same people are buying stuff from China, So it's selective outrage,
Uh,
It's Saudi hasn't bought it yet, though, so we don't know if it's even going to be them
no, nothing's official yet. I mean, all we know is that they filed with the
for
ACC
sale.
today. Everything is kind of that way. Even if they were to sell, um, there's so much legalities around it in terms of stockholders, shareholders, this and that. It's so complex. It's
It'll take a little bit, but it's on its way to
yeah.
getting done pretty quick.
No, something's gonna happen. I mean, for myself personally, I mean, yeah, you're right. We buy things from China. I mean, 90% of everything we
Yeah,
microphone, my computer, your computer. I mean, at the end of the
absolutely.
day,
Yeah.
they're all made there, and I get that. I just feel like from a product standpoint and what it would look like with the Saudis owning it, I don't know. I think
I
from that
think if
perspective,
let's just say if they buy it, we don't know if they will. Let's say they buy it. I think what they'll do is they'll leave the people in place, kind of like when the Fertitta brothers sold UFC. They left Dana White in place. I don't think they're going to touch anything. They're going to let Triple H and Khan run it for a bit. They don't like them, and they can move them. But I don't think they're going to rock the ball like people think they are. They're not stupid.
no, they're not stupid that way. And yeah, again, there have been reports of talent saying that if they are sold to the Saudis, they'll walk out and whatnot. And
Yeah, but the
you know,
same talent that says that performs on the crown jewel card. So it's all fake outrage.
well, it's kind of interesting because some of the, I'll correct you on that. Some of the talent that have spoken out are talents that won't go over to Saudi Arabia for the shows. So,
Like who? Ali?
well, Mustafa can't, well, MVP can't go because of the
They,
fact that he
but
renounces
they don't
his
need MVP, right? And
no,
nobody
no,
of
no, no,
importance,
no, I'm not
right?
talking about it that way. I'm just saying, just generally,
Yeah,
like,
there's a few.
doesn't
Yeah.
go right. Like, I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, I thought about this long and hard last night, and I'm of the school of thought that the WWE is just one entity of wrestling. Wrestling as a whole will never die.
No, but
So,
WWE is
so
NFL, right? Without them,
yeah,
you
but
got
you know what?
CFL and college,
Okay,
right?
I get that, but I mean, if Vince decides to destroy the WWE,
He's
I've
not
read
destroying it; he's selling it.
no, I get it if he's selling it, but I mean, in the essence of who he sells to, what they decide to do with it, if they decide to break it up, we don't know any of these things. We don't know what's going to
Yeah,
happen to the WWE that we know, right?
I don't
Everything
think
can
much will change. Just like
no,
people
no,
got scared when the Fertitta brothers sold UFC,
right,
nothing
right.
changed,
Much
right?
may not, much may not change, but there might be some changes. It all depends on who
There could
you're
be.
selling
Yeah,
to, right? If you're selling
yeah.
to the Saudis based on the way they operate and their culture and whatnot, how much of that would be, I'm just
Well,
hypothetically saying, how much of that kind of culture would be brought into to the
zero,
WWE to, but you never
zero,
know. All
because
I'm saying is
because
these are
The
all
Saudi guys, they own Live Golf. They stole a lot of the guys from the PGA Tour. Live Golf is the number one tournament right now. It's even more better golfers in the PGA circuit, and they own that.
no,
So when
no,
they don't touch it, they let them play. They stay back. They let the
no,
people in place run it. They just put the money in. So I wouldn't worry about that at all.
yeah, no, I'm just like looking at it from all
Just for an
different kind of
example of what they
angles,
do.
right? Right. So I mean, anything can happen here. I mean, we're kind of at I'm not going to doubt McMahon because I mean, everyone doubted him when he decided to do WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
doubted him when he decided to make this big move. Everyone doubted him when he wanted to
Yeah.
move away from pay-per-views and create his own network, which he did, and it's been successful. And if you look at majority
Oh yeah.
of the platforms that are out there now, they all came after the WWE. Like yeah, there was
Streaming. Yeah.
Netflix, streaming and everything like that. So, I mean, what he's done is revolutionary. All the stuff that he's done, I'm not going to complain about it.
Absolutely.
And I have no complaints.
The greatest promoter of all time.
Well, absolutely, I can agree with that.
And
But
in wrestling, it's not even close. Nobody could even carry his bags there.
I'll say this: the only thing I hope he doesn't do is come back to creative. I wish he just leaves that alone and lets the team running it right now run it. They're doing a good job. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's okay.
The numbers are good.
They're all right. Nothing special. They still get crushed by Monday Night Football, right?
Well, everyone gets crushed by Monday Night Football, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not even going to talk about Raw this week because it was kind of like a placeholder Raw in consideration of the bowl game that was happening. I mean, these are the
Yeah,
hardest
nobody's
times,
watching Raw. It's all national
right?
championship.
Right. So, and congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs. Um, and then
I'm happy
next
for Vince,
Monday,
man. He gets to see a thing that he built. He built this. He created WrestleMania, the network, all these superstars, made all these people rich. They made him rich too. We're sitting here because of him. He's the smartest promoter of all time in wrestling. He's a creative genius. It's on and on and on we could say about the guy. So he wants to cash out. That's what owner does. He owns it. It's his right. So I know Stephanie stepped down. I don't think, oh, well, it's your dad's business. It's not your business. Your husband doesn't deserve the business. It's his business. This is the thing.
yeah,
Triple H can do his job, but he's not a businessman, right? Why should they get it?
I don't think she stepped down because of that. I think she just stepped
No,
down
I
because
think it was temporary Phil to get out of there anyways. If you listen to that interview with Ariel Helwani, he says we were driving, we not sure if we wanted it. So I think she just filled in temporarily, and this was going to be the plan all along. Maybe a few months later, I'm going to come back and sell. It's probably was in the works for a while.
well, it's been going on the work since he retired, hypothetically speaking, right? I
No,
mean,
but that's what I was saying on the podcast. I kept saying to everybody, he's going to sell it. He's not going to go away. People don't realize Vince McMahon. There's a few men like him. You got Jerry Jones, you got George Steinbrenner, you got Vince McMahon. These guys live and breathe their product 24/7. They're not like Tony Khan. These guys, that's all they do. They won't stop working. And he's not just going to go sit on the beach in Florida and drink a cocktail. He's going to either be the boss or he's going to sell it. There's no other way around it. And that's just like certain guys like him and Jerry Jones. You'll never see it like this again, right? It's the last of the dying breed.
Like I said, at the end of the day, regardless of what happens here, I mean, I was scared a little bit by the whole prospect of it, or what could happen, what the product would look like, going forward, or not right away, obviously. But I realized, like I said, wrestling doesn't die. Wrestling won't die. So there'll always be wrestling around, and like everyone will find a home, and what have you. But
it'll always be wrestling around, but it might not be as good. Like if the NFL was to stop tomorrow, they go to other leagues, but it will never be as good. XFL, CFL, USL is never as good as
but I mean, if WWE crumbles away, I kind of, I kind of see it going in one scenario. I mean, there's many scenarios how this could play out. Nothing could change. Everything would be awesome. The product will still be there. On the other hand,
these billionaires is one thing about them. They're super smart guys. So whoever takes it over, NBC, Disney, Saudi, they're not stupid people. They will leave certain people in place.
I get that. It all depends on who UFC, right? It all depends on who they leave in place. And I'm gonna stand by this. I love McMahon. I love everything he's about. He should not go back to creative, in my opinion. He should not carry that ball. Carry all the other balls you want. Call all the shots and this and that. But do not.
But that's the thing, though. He's the owner. If he wants to do it, I'm all for it.
No,
if you do what you want to do with your company.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just hope he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, he's going to do what he's going to do, and we're going to have to deal with it. I get that.
I don't think he's coming back to creative. I think he's just coming back because he knows he's a businessman. Yeah. His people under him are not businessmen, so it's his company. He wants it done a certain way, set up how he wants to set it up.
Well, I mean,
if he wanted to come back, he already would have.
Well, he brought back Michelle Williams, and he also brought back George Barrios, who were two big key figures throughout the WWE.
Yeah, they're going to help him with the sale and work deals.
So I mean, from that perspective, now
people are so outraged over this. It's like I keep saying that it's only the indie fans. I keep saying these guys. It's his company, guys. You build a business, you sell it if you want to. Triple H doesn't deserve it. Steph doesn't deserve it. Shane doesn't deserve it. Vince built this thing. Triple H got this job because he married Steph. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. That's how he got into management. McMahon's the owner. Triple H, like people are so outraged. I don't know what they're outraged about.
See, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think just because he married Stephanie, he got his work. I mean, he put his time in and everything.
No, he was a great wrestler, but he wouldn't have been in the position he is if he didn't marry Stephanie. He wouldn't have been executive VP of talent. There's no way if he didn't marry Steph. He'd be like lots of other guys were successful and never got that spot. Well, he did because he gets to be around Vince. That definitely helped him. Didn't hurt him. I'm not saying he's not good at what he does, but that definitely put him over the top, right? You marry into power. That's how it goes.
No, I will agree to disagree.
Well, you don't see Stone Cold or The Rock as EVP. You don't see Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, but I
Ric
don't
Flair,
think.
But they're not married, right?
Yeah, but none of those guys really stuck around per se. They have other
That's what I
things
mean.
that they do.
When you marry the boss's daughter,
you know,
you
I don't
favor
know,
him.
man. I don't know.
When your daughter gets married, you're going to favor her husband over a regular Joe you don't know. It's human
No, I
nature,
wouldn't.
right?
I
You're always
wouldn't.
going to favor your kids, right?
No, not
Well,
necessarily.
McMahon did.
Well, that's McMahon.
Right?
So Nick
Yeah,
Khan,
people are so mad that he's selling his business. It's like his
yeah,
business. People are outraged. I don't get it.
Yeah, so Nick Khan, I saw this little headline. I thought it was kind of cool. When the sale is done, he'll make more money than what AEW is worth.
So I believe it. He's not mad about it. He's not mad.
I don't think anyone really needs to be mad about it. I mean, this day was going to come eventually. I mean, it's kind of like everything else. I mean, everyone was mad at Vince when, he decided to break up the territories, right? I mean, the whole deal there was like he did it very secretly around his dad. He wouldn't tell his dad what the plan was. Afterwards, his senior said that like if I had known what he was planning to do, I would never have supported it or made it happen. In terms of putting it all together, and because I mean at that time, think about it, it's like 30 little kingdoms all around the country, and no one really stepped on each other's toes. And all of a sudden, here comes Junior, and he fucking buys everyone out, which is fine.
The guy's a visionary. He's always 3 steps ahead of everybody. They think, oh, he's old. Next year will come to network, and he knows what he's doing. He's going to make a good deal, and everything is going to be fine.
He's going to be fine. It'll benefit him, obviously.
No, WWE will be fine. He wouldn't leave it in bad hands.
You know what? I mean, there's so many conflicting things. Like one can argue, I'm just arguing here, yeah. One could argue the fact that he's doing this because he can't stand the fact that the company is doing well, the stock is doing well without him being there, and his ego is kind of his ego's taking over a little bit, right? One can argue that. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just trying to throw out different scenarios here.
Of course, he has a huge ego. Absolutely, you don't become a billionaire and one of the greatest heels ever not having a big ego. Yeah, he's got an ego the size of Texas, but at the end of the day, he's almost going to be 78 this year, and all that scandal that happened. So maybe he's like, you know what, I'm going to cash out. And he's been talking about this even before this scandal came. He even said a few years ago, we're always open for business. I never say no to a sale. So he's been saying it even before this scandal came out in the Wall Street Journal. So he maybe said, you know what, I don't like what I see on the show. I'm done with this. I'm selling. I'm going to make as much money as I can and set the company up, and away we go. I don't know. We'll never know what he's thinking.
If the deal goes through with the Saudis, the company will probably go back to being privately owned again.
Yeah, maybe.
No, that would happen. If that deal is done with the Saudis, the company would go private again. And if that's the case, I'm interested in that a lot too, because I think that would be the only way I would like to see Vince come back into creative if the company goes private, because then he can truly do what he wants to do. I feel that a lot of,
but even then,
hold on. No, hold on. I feel a lot of his creativity has been stifled because of the public trading.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot that he can't do that I'm sure they'd love to do. I think the product got hurt, like the name of Vince McMahon, what his stamp of approval on the product, probably diminished a bit because of that, because of you can't do this, you can't do that. So going private, I think, would be pretty cool. I mean, you might see a second wave of Attitude Era. And I mean,
I don't think so, only because the networks won't allow that on TV anymore.
Yeah, but at that point, then you know what? I'm sure they can put their shows on their own network then, right? I mean,
unless it's streaming only, then yeah.
Right. So I mean, there's so many options there. So there's no shortage of getting the product or finding the product in today's day and age, right? Like I personally don't think you need the fucking networks. I mean, the networks are there. I get it. Fox is great. The money's good from them. But at the end of it all, like when it's all said and done, if you can put out the products you want, you get everyone coming to the streaming site, you're still going to make the money, if not more. And
that would be cool to see. Yeah.
A majority of it will stay in your own pocket, right? You're not paying any network fees. Well, like I said, there's so many things going on. I mean, I know the network deals are coming up. I know, certain things are starting, to be to be renewed and what have you.
And
So
don't forget, people are jumping to conclusions and stuff. Don't think for 1 minute Vince ain't starting some sort of bidding war. You know what I mean? Throwing this out. Oh, Saudis are buying. Oh, no, they're not. He's trying to create that buzz and get higher bidders, and who knows what he's up to. But this man is very,
well,
very
I
smart.
tell you what,
He'll make a good deal. And
I think that the Saudi announcement last night was done on purpose to gauge what people's reactions would be to it. To kind of fully comprehend, okay, if we do this, this is what it's going to sound like. And then they can kind of gauge and look at everything around it and kind of understand what they're going to do next, sort of a deal. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, like announcing this deal and then,
could be.
and the sources that it came from initially are non-wrestling entities. So that's kind of like a shocking piece as well. Like how does this person from DAZN know what's going on in wrestling? You know what I mean?
Yeah, only a few people in the room with Vince, right? So somebody leaked it on purpose. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So it's
sure.
purposely leaked, and I think it's done on purpose. Obviously, nothing's etched in stone. They may have a handshake deal in place. If the Saudis buy it, they buy it. I mean, I only shared what I thought could possibly happen. I'm a kind of wait
Yeah,
and
it could
see
be. We'll
deal.
never know, but
And then we just kind of figure out as we go and see what the product looks like. Now, if guys want to leave the company, if girls want to leave the company, so be it. Like you said, there are other places to wrestle, right? But that being said, we don't know what the WWE is going to look like with a different company operating it. It could be nothing. They could be wholesale changes. They could be doing this. Other things to look at. You sell to the Saudis, like will they lose their contracts with the toy manufacturers? Will they, like how there's so many variables. I mean, WWE is just, wrestling is the base. The characters are the base, but there's so many other,
whatever happens, it'll be like UFC. It'll be a transfer you won't even really notice. Like they let Dana White stay in charge. Peter Brothers stepped away. Whoever bought it, can't remember the name of the company. They let Dana White run the show. So if they something along those lines.
No, I mean, there's so many things that can happen. Again, this is Vince's baby. I mean, he can do what he wants with it.
Yep.
Who am I? Who are you? Who's anyone to say anything to him?
Only advice I give Vince: say, good for you, man. Get all the money that you can get. You deserve it. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. You want to sell it, make as much money as you can. You deserve it.
No, do what you got to do, man. I mean, I think the only person who could have probably ever said anything to him would have been what's his name? Pat
Patterson.
Pat Patterson, in my opinion, would probably be the only person who could talk to him, in a way that no one else probably could.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, if you think about it,
bond.
I like to think that everything that Vince created, a lot of it had to do with Pat Patterson, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, he had help. Absolutely, it wasn't all his. He definitely had a lot of good ideas.
But above all the people that were there, I would have to say Pat Patterson and Bruce Pritchard, even to a certain extent, but Pat Patterson 100%. Unfortunately, he's not here anymore to see this, but he'd be one guy that I'd want to see.
My brother met him when he was going to. My brother met him in '98 when he was going to Japan for gymnastics. Met him on a plane, sat with him the whole time.
Oh, cool! Very cool.
Picture, everything. Said he's a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Pat would have been one guy who would have truly benefited from the sale, and he would have been, in my opinion, someone who should have gotten a good piece of that pie, because without Pat Patterson, honestly, reality of it all, as great as Vince is, that was the guy who probably was just as good as he was in terms of creative.
The best owners in the world and the best businessmen in the world, but the smartest people around him. So yeah, absolutely, Pat helped them out big time.
And speaking of Pat Patterson, we are 3 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. It's starting to shape up, Chance. It's starting to shape up. We got, and I don't know what this is going to be or what it's going to look like, but I can tell you we got the pitch black match between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. That's one of the night fights confirmed for the evening, sponsored by Mountain Dew, apparently. Then we also have the Royal Rumbles themselves. We have Kevin Owens challenging for the WWE titles against Roman Reigns. Any other matches that you know of yet that you can think of? I know those are the 4 that I know of. So
not offhand, no. I think that's the only ones I know about.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure the Usos will be defending at some point, and I think what's gonna happen is the Usos are they're gonna split up the tag team titles here somehow. I think I have a feeling based off on what happened on Raw with the tag team gauntlet match. Do not be surprised if next week or whenever that match is, you see the Judgment Day take the straps. The
Possible,
WWE,
yeah.
the Raw
Agree with
straps,
you on
anyways,
that.
right? I think that'd be good.
Could be.
I almost feel that it'd be cool to have the two shows have their own titles again. It's good to see them kind of go back and forth and what have you and whatnot. But I think it would just help the brand a bit more on both sides if they could do that. That's just my thinking. I don't know. What do you think? Do you like having
A lot of
one
the thing if you
champion?
have Raw tag belts, SmackDown belts, there's too many belts. So I kind of like how they kind of share it a little bit,
Yeah.
just because
But,
there's so many belts that way, right?
well, I mean, but the whole process was to have it set up um because they were separating the shows. They're trying to create two separate brands,
Mm-hmm.
right? So from that
Yeah.
from that perspective, I can see if they're going to stick that route, if they're going to combine the two shows again like they did in the past, then yeah, get rid of them. But if they're going to stay that kind of course, then it's best to separate the two titles,
Yeah,
all four titles.
somebody's got to get the belts off the Usos here and Bloodline it. They have them all,
Well, they got everything
so
right now. They've had
something's got to
everything
give.
for over 2 years. Yeah, in essence, they've carried every major title except the US title and the Intercontinental title. Those are the only two titles that they haven't gotten. Actually, at one point when Sikoa came over from NXT, he had the North American title. So
Yeah, it
they
almost feels like by the end of WrestleMania, the Bloodline will lose all their belts. It almost seems like it's coming that way, you know.
I think the Usos will. I don't
Get the
think
tag belts.
I don't I think the tag belts will go, but I don't think you'll see Roman dropping any titles anytime soon.
If he fights Cody at WrestleMania, Cody will walk out as champ.
If he fights Cody, I can see the potential of him walking out with one of the belts, not both.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I just don't see how that,
See.
I mean, you got to keep Roman strong too, if that's the plan. I don't know what the goal is here with him at the end of this all, because I mean, once you take the belts off of him, what's he going to do? Right? Like he's going to
Just
start
have
chasing
special
for a
matches like
title.
Lesnar and them, I guess.
Well, that's about it, right? I mean, he's pretty much a special attraction now, right? With his appearances.
Yeah.
And I mean, he shows up more than Brock does, obviously, but when Brock
Yeah,
was
he does.
champion, he wouldn't show up for maybe 2-3 months at a time.
Yep. Special, like
Right?
you said, I'm a prize fighter.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
the heavyweight title wouldn't even be on a show for an extended period of time. So, we'll just play it out by ear and let's see where they go with that. But yeah, the Royal Rumble is
Yeah.
shaping up. Raw last night, or a couple nights ago. Sorry, this is Wednesday. I thought it was funny. The Dominic stuff cracked me up, man. I started laughing with it. I don't know if you caught that or
They look
not.
like I said, they look like a crew from East Van. Those guys, holy cow!
Yeah, but it's funny though. I mean,
So,
they're very.
yeah, it was funny. Yeah, it was.
Those guys are so talented. Finn Balor, Damian Priest, they're good workers. But the whole Dominic thing was just cracking me up, man. Like Miz asked him, yeah, but you were only locked up for a few hours. Hey, man, like the way he was talking, it was like he'd been in there for years, and just
Yeah.
I saw things. I saw things that no one should see. Like, I mean, really,
Yeah.
it was just so funny. It was just so.
Yeah, it was a good segment.
It was a stupidly funny segment, and I'm looking forward to that. I think that we will start picking up on the Ray versus Dominic match here in the next few weeks as well. I predict that Dominic will probably eliminate Ray.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then that's where it'll start to heat up again, which will lead them into WrestleMania. So that's pretty exciting to see some of these stories formulating.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be a good payoff.
Alexa Bliss, she's pure evil again, and she loves it, as she said on Raw. So that's kind of cool to see the direction she's going in. Uncle Howdy showing up again. So things are starting to shape up, man. We're starting to get some clarity on some of these storylines and in what direction they want to go into. The road to WrestleMania, the road to the Royal Rumble, we are there. That being said, man, I thought it'd be kind of cool if we did a review of our Royal Rumble here today, if you're down for that, are you?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
asking,
do it.
yeah. All right, so this is a
Yeah.
request from one of our followers. His name is Nick. He had asked us to do the Survivor Series. Now he's asking if we can do a quick rundown of the Royal Rumble 1991, which was held in, I guess, San Antonio, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I remember this
yeah.
clearly because about a month after, I didn't watch it live, but about a month or a month and a half after it happened,
No, I'm
my dad
sorry.
rented it on VHS.
Yeah. So January 19th, 1991. This was from the Miami Arena in Miami, Florida. My
Okay.
apologies. Attendance was 16,000, but according to Nick, who told me this, 400,000 buys on pay-per-view for this show.
That's pretty good. You
Yeah, it's
had
not
to do
bad.
closed circuit back in those days.
Not bad. So this would have been the third edition of the Royal Rumble. First one was 89. Hacksaw won that. Hogan won 1990. And 1991, here we go. 7 matches were contested in this event, including one dark match. The first match, Jerry Sags from the Nasty Boys, he defeated Sam Houston in a singles match. Not much to talk about there. I'll say this though, man. I watched the show and it was kind of sad. It was with a heavy heart in some cases to watch this pay-per-view. In the first match alone, the Rockers, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty defeated the Orient Express, Kato and Tanaka. Good match, kind of interesting. One thing that I took away from this
Yeah, it
match
was.
in particular was that Shawn Michaels was huge, like bulk, like not
Yeah, he was.
he wasn't lean, he wasn't what he
He was
became.
26 then, so yeah, he was in
Yeah,
prime.
he was bulky. Like they were all juicing
Yeah.
back then, right? So I mean,
Oh yeah.
so the size of the guy was just massive. Well, here's where I started to feel nostalgic. I looked at this match and I'm looking, okay, first off, Gorilla, was it Gorilla? Yeah, Gorilla Monsoon and Roddy Piper were on commentary. They're no longer with us.
Mhm.
Joey Marella was the referee for this particular match. He's no longer with us, who's Gorilla Monsoon's son. Mr.
Kid, yeah.
Fuji is no longer with us, right? Very interesting.
Bobby Heenan, so many guys.
Well, the next match, Big Boss Man defeated the Barbarian with Bobby Heenan. Big Boss Man isn't with us anymore. Bobby Heenan isn't with us anymore. Now, this is where
Barbarian's still kicking.
he's still kicking around. Yeah. Samoan, he's a part of that whole line, man. He's the Rock's cousin, I believe. Next match was really cool. Sergeant Slaughter with General Adnan against the Ultimate Warrior for the WWE Championship. Now, 1991, this is when the Gulf War was going on. So, they were really pushing that whole angle. And what greater shock value than having G.I. Joe himself become a Middle East supporter?
Yeah, that was well done.
Right. And the way they made the Ultimate Warrior lose this title, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it already, was very cool with the Macho Man and the role that him and Sensational Sherry played in all of this. I guess in episodes of Superstars or Primetime, whatever, those were the main shows at the time, leading up to the pay-per-views and what have you. So they basically used the Macho Man saying that he was promised, Sergeant Slaughter promised him a title shot if he won. And, they sent out Sherry to confront the Ultimate Warrior and asking him, would you do the same? Blah, blah, blah. He said no. So as this match went on, Ultimate Warrior was kicking the shit out of the guy throughout the whole match, literally, until Macho and Sherry started their interference. One hit to the scepter, and there you go, new world champion. What did you think of that?
It's great to see those kind of characters that you don't see at all nowadays. So it was great. I liked Ultimate Warrior. Like when you're a kid, I was 9. You look at the guys larger than life, energetic. Now we look at him now and say, well, he's a crappy wrestler, but this guy was one of the most popular wrestlers ever, right?
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't think that. We said, oh, he clotheslines, he power slams, he runs, and he's crazy. 1, 2, 3. That's all we needed.
I think the problem with the Ultimate Warrior was just more deep rooted in his own psychology.
Yeah. But I
And
mean, we're
the
looking
thing,
back at it now, but at the time when he was doing it, he was on fire. We didn't know what was going on backstage. You see this
well,
built
we
dude
did,
running around, kicking butt.
we, there was no internet in 91.
No, I know that was nice
Right.
that
So,
way.
I mean, that way we really didn't know what was happening backstage. We didn't have breaking news and whatnot. I mean, if this was still the 90, if all the stuff with the sale and everything is happening now, none of us would know until it was officially done.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on with this card, we had the Mountie with Jimmy Hart defeating Coco Beware. I'll be honest, man, I fast forward through this one. I thought this was like the bathroom break match. I
It's a
didn't really,
filler. Yeah, it was
it was
okay,
a
but it's a
filler. It
filler.
was okay. This fight I was happy to watch. Ted DiBiase and Virgil defeated Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes. Nostalgia,
Yeah.
yeah, to see Dusty in there and whatnot. I mean, that man loved his fucking elbow, man. I
Oh
forgot
yeah,
how
the
much he
bionic
loved.
elbow.
Yeah, I forgot how much he loved to use that. This was the match where basically Coco, or sorry, not Coco. This is the match where Virgil basically found his balls and decided to stand up against the $1 million man. I don't think you
Yeah.
could have angles like that anymore.
You'll never have that angle ever again.
Well,
Ever.
no, it
It
is
won't
you
be
can't
allowed.
you can't have the Black Butler like Virgil was
The
basically.
networks won't, even if you wanted, the networks won't put it on. They're so woke and they're so woke, I guess is the best way to put it. They'll never allow that. Even if you try to do it, they'll shut you off.
No, I think if anyone can try it, they'd be them. All right, Royal Rumble match. Who won? Do you know?
Back to back, the most popular wrestler of all time, Hulkamania.
Hulk
A
Hogan,
lot of
man.
good, lot of good characters in this match too.
There
Yeah,
was a lot.
Earthquake,
Yeah, number one was Bret
Mister
Hart.
Perfect.
Yeah, we had Bret Hart, Dino Bravo, Greg Valentine, Paul Roma, the Texas Tornado, Rick Martel, Saba Simba. You know who Saba Simba was, right? Tony
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Atlas.
I forgot
Yeah,
about that guy until I seen it
yeah.
again. But yeah,
Saba Simba was in there. Bushwhacker Butch was in this match. Jake Roberts, Hercules, Tito, The Undertaker. I think this was his first Rumble.
I think so.
Jimmy Snuka, the British Bulldog, Smash, Hawk, Shane Douglas. Macho Man was number 18, and he never came
Didn't
out.
show up.
He didn't
Yeah,
show up
no
because
show.
he was being chased by the Warrior. 19, Animal, Crush, Jim Duggan, Earthquake, Mr. Perfect. Hulk Hogan was 24. Haku, considered to by many to be the toughest guy in the locker room at that time.
At that time, yeah.
Jim Neidhart, Bushwhacker Luke, Brian Knobs, the Warlord, and number 30, Tugboat. So,
What a great lineup of guys.
and
Stacked.
half this lineup is no longer with us.
Yep. Well, it's 30 years ago, but yeah.
No, regardless, Dino Bravo is not with us. Texas Tornado is not with us. Hercules, I believe, has passed away. Jimmy Snuka has passed
Yeah, he's
away. The
gone.
Bulldog has passed away. Hawk has passed away. Savage has passed away. Animal passed away. Crush passed away. Jim Duggan is still with us. Almost passed away. He just fought cancer. Good for him. He's in remission.
Hmm.
Mr. Perfect, Earthquake, Jim Neidhart. I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, 30
much
years ago.
that's pretty much 20 guys out of the 30-man roster there that including Macho Man, it was
Mhm.
a hard one to watch. I'll be honest, man. It was nostalgic because it brought me back to the childhood days of when you didn't know what was going to happen and you were like shocked and surprised. And this was before the winner of the Royal Rumble went on to WrestleMania. That was like the prize for it all. Um, so now I'm curious to see how this worked out because I forgot how Hogan ended up fighting him at WrestleMania 7, considering the whole thing with Macho Man um, being promised as number one contender for the title. So I don't know what happened because I know obviously at WrestleMania 7 you had Warrior versus Macho, right? And
Yeah, that's right.
that's where Elizabeth came out and broke it all up with him and Sherry, sort of a deal. And then Hogan, I guess it made sense to put the strap back on Hogan considering what was going on in the Gulf War, even though the Ultimate Warrior had the American Warrior logo on the back of his trunks. And, he was trying his best, but, I don't. I don't know. It was an interesting time, man.
Yeah, we take all that aside. If you just look at the Warrior just for what he did and how popular he was and how exciting he was and his energy and his look and his muscles, he's got to go down as, I know he's not a great in-ring worker, but he's got to go down as one of the greatest ever on popularity alone. He was almost as big as Hogan at a time, maybe bigger than Hogan for a couple of years. He was that popular.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a couple of years. I give him a year of popularity. I hear what you're saying. I'm not gonna refute it, but I
We
feel
look
that
back on it now and the crazy stuff he did. And I get all that. But I'm
yeah,
saying
no,
just
no,
for
no,
his
no, no,
body
no,
of
no,
work with
no, no. I'm
excitement,
talking
right?
from the body of work. It's pretty small in essence. Like
It is.
he crammed a lot into that little time. And I feel that he could have been bigger and better if he wasn't so wrapped
Oh,
up in
absolutely.
himself. Like he fucked himself over nicely with Vince,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And yeah. I don't not
Right?
condoning his action to say, but it
Yeah,
was so
yeah.
exciting. Just
At
like,
that time
especially as
in
a kid.
yeah, no, as a little kid, he was a breath of
Mhm.
fresh air, right? I
Oh,
mean, there
yeah.
was so much potential there. There was so much that could be done. But I mean, his promos as a little kid, I didn't really, I just heard the key words and you were just so enamored by his snorting and the flexing and just that energy, the
The
shaking and
energy.
whatnot. You didn't really need to listen to a lot of the words. But if you go back now and listen to his promos, they're fucking gibberish.
Oh, yeah. I will say one thing right now. There may be probably 98% of the roster could wrestle better than Warriors for right now, sure. But they can't entertain and they can't capture the crowd like the Warrior could. And that's what, if you can't capture the crowd, you're not putting butts in seats. And he put butts in seats, like you said, small body of work, but when he was on fire, I mean, you
Yeah,
see
but I
kids
mean,
wearing it all the
it
time
goes
in school, right?
it goes right back to what we were talking about before on the previous show. Like, after we had done this interview with the Moment Taker, Jody Taylor, and
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, you look at the biggest names in the industry. If you want to throw the Warrior in there, he would fit into that group as well as guys that maybe had 5 moves total, but
Mm-hmm.
had you eating out of the palm of their hands with their promos, their
That's all he
visual,
needed.
right? Their act, just that Hogan, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, the bulging of the eyes, the
The big,
Hulk,
massive muscles.
well, the big muscles or hulking out, like just when you thought like
Speaking of
Earth.
that, Hogan's what, 67, 68. His arms are still huge, especially for his age, are still big.
No, he's still looking good,
That
man.
guy
I
has
mean,
that image. He wears those short sleeve shirts. His arms are still big.
yeah, no, he's
Yeah.
looking good. I mean, for what it is and all that. But it's kind of funny because I was looking like when I was watching this Royal Rumble in '91 one. Tito Santana was huge. Like
Mm-hmm.
all these guys were fucking ripped. They're big. They're all
They were
juicing. I
big
don't care
boys
what
back then.
anybody says. Unless you were Earthquake or Tugboat or Dusty Rhodes, anyone in on that show was juicing. I don't care. Maybe not Tanaka
Yep.
or what have you, but Barbarian
Or
had to be on that show.
Bushwhackers, probably.
Well, maybe, I don't know what they were on, bro. But I mean that energy is separate alone. And another example of where the character was bigger than the moveset.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? You look at that era, you will say people remember the Bushwhackers, right?
Yep.
I was talking
Entertaining,
to
right?
right. I was talking to my mother the other night, and I mentioned the Bushwhackers to her, and she goes, "Oh, I remember those guys," and she's not a wrestling
Yep.
fan. So
Exactly. That's the thing, is like those guys in those days, they know how to entertain and capture the moment, right?
exactly right. No, and that's what they did, time and time again. So you look at all the guys that we remember. What's the one thing majority of them have in common? Majority of them couldn't wrestle a lick per se, not like a
Mm-hmm.
Ric Flair, not like a Shawn Michaels, not like a Bret
Yeah.
Hart,
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
but they had oomph to their name,
Mm-hmm. People
right?
will say, "Oh, Hogan and Andre, they're not good workers." Yet they put 90,000 people in Pontiac Silverdome Stadium. So what does that tell you?
Well, I mean, Andre is an entity
You
on
can
his
watch
own.
Johnny Gargano and Finn Balor; they wouldn't sell 20,000. But Hogan and Andre had 90. So I mean,
No, I mean,
it's
but
all about character, like you said,
it was
right?
all about character. It's all about, and I think I would love. That's what my hope for wrestling is. Hey, look, I love a match that it's technical, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah,
like
me too.
boxing. I love technical boxing. I love brawlers too. Don't get me wrong. People are more into the brawlers than the technical guys. I get it,
Oh yeah.
right? I mean, you look at hockey in the mid '90s, thanks to the New Jersey Devils. It was all about defense. Offense was down, goals were down, everything was down. If you look at most
Yeah,
of
playing the
them,
trap.
right? You look at most of the Super Bowls, which I don't know if it's majority, but a good number of them are based on victories by defense,
Yep.
right? So I mean, defense wins these championships. I get that. But yeah, no, these guys, I like a spot fest as much as the next guy, like the Will Spray Ricochet fight. I referenced that again. Yeah, it was good. It's good as a one-off. I don't want to see it all the time. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My love for wrestling is storytelling and the psychology
Absolutely.
and working the crowd to follow that storyline.
Characters.
Characters. I think the last example of it, and I'll reference the one match that I think stands out in my mind, is the only match of the 2000s so far that's does it the best, and that's Shawn Michaels, Triple H Undertaker in Hell in the Cell at Mania 28. I mean, the ring was there, the Hell in the Cell was there. I get it, but they didn't. It almost felt like a backdrop. It played a role, but it didn't necessarily
Mhm.
play the role that the Hell in the Cell has played in other matches. It was all about facial expressions. It was all about eye glances and looks and just that struggle and all of that. That's
Yep.
you know,
It was like seeing Van Halen and Rolling Stones again. They had that nostalgia feel. They brought JR back. They had all the guys watching. You could feel it. It felt like late '90s watching it, and it was well done. Well
yeah.
done.
Well, I mean,
Loved it.
a modern take, but storytelling at its finest.
Yeah, it was
And
good.
and I think you're seeing that a little bit with Roman Reigns too. I don't think people are giving him enough credit for those weighing glances and the little kind of touches that he's putting onto things. Like, for example, when he's hugging Sammy and they show his face, but he has this look on his face like, don't believe me, sort of a deal. Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
good. It's
You know what's
subtle.
funny? The IWC will tell you, oh, Vince doesn't care about the fans. He forces Roman down our throats. Well, they said the same thing about John Cena 10 years ago. Now, when he comes on, everybody's saying, oh, he's the greatest of all time. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Same thing will happen with Reigns. We're going to say right now that he doesn't care about the fans. They force feed us Reigns. And in 5, 10 years, we're going to say he's one of the greatest of all time. Look at this run. Same thing they did with John Cena. We did the same thing.
Well, I think
I'm
Cena did
noticing
it
that.
better. I think Cena did it better because
Oh,
he had
I'm not saying Reigns is
no,
as
no,
good
no,
as
no,
Cena,
no,
but
no,
it's going
no,
to be
no,
something
no, no, no,
similar.
no. Let me finish. What I'm saying is, what my point here is that I think Cena did it better only for the fact that he had to deal with that crowd throughout his entire run. Whereas I think Roman benefited from not having a crowd, that he could develop the character and actually get it to the place where he wanted to. I think the problem is with modern wrestling fans and, like you said, the internet wrestling community and whatnot. They
They're
try to
brutal people, man. Brutal.
well, I mean, certain cities, live events, I mean, fans will try to take over programming, right? If their
Yep.
guy's not going to win, I mean, I think this whole, shoving Roman down our throats kind of stemmed from the fact that internet wrestling community fans, not on the internet wrestling community, just regular fans as well. It was all about Daniel Bryan, and as hard as they were trying not to get everyone to like Daniel Bryan, I think that's where a lot of that feeling came from, that they were shoving Roman down the throat and whatnot. I don't think they did anything different with Roman that they did with Rock, Austin, or Cena, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just kind of like Roman benefited from it, right? Because remember,
Yeah.
they booed the fuck out of him when he won that Rumble in
Yep.
Philadelphia, right? Because that's not the guy they
Oh yeah.
wanted. They would have been happy if even Ray won. But obviously
They don't want him to win at all. No. They hated that.
they all wanted Daniel to win. The crowd wanted Daniel to win. Everyone in that stadium was behind Daniel Bryan, Daniel Bryan. I mean, to the point where that no matter what you put in front of the crowd or the fans, people were going to revolt.
Yep.
That's the sense of it all. So, you know what? Kudos to Roman. I think he's doing a great job. I have no issues with
He
any
is.
of his work.
No, I like him. He's
I
great.
think he's doing a lot of things that people aren't even noticing. Like I said, watch now, guys. Watch the glances. Look at the little eye markers. Look at the little chagrin and the little smirks that are subtle. They're not meant to be seen right away. You pick up on those vibes, right? I mean, it's all
Yep.
leading to something else. Like every expression that he throws down is leading to something that's going to happen down the road. We don't, at some point here, someone's going to turn on Sammy. Something's going to happen. That's going to lead us to elimination
Yep.
chamber.
They'll have their feud. They'll break up here soon.
Yeah. I mean, it's leading more and more of that. Like now that you're planting the seeds, well, he's done everything you said after War Games. He should have become Sammy Uso, not an honorary Uso. So,
Yeah.
that hasn't shifted. That hasn't changed. He blamed him for the loss for Kevin Owens on SmackDown. He got mad at him. Then he was his friend again. So he's kind of playing, Roman's doing great.
He is. He's awesome. He's doing well.
He's doing a lot of
like
fun
him.
things, and I
Happy
have no
for him.
issues with it. Yeah, no, I think everything is good right now. I'm enjoying the product. I enjoy everything that we're seeing. I'm excited for the Royal Rumble. I'm excited for where this is all going to lead up to and where it's going. So yeah, man. I mean, outside of the news breaking and what's happening and what potentially can be happening down the road here, right now wrestling's in a good place, and I hope it stays there, man.
It always is. It's always going to be fine. People are panicking. They jump into conclusions. They're spinning the story. Let's see who buys it and worry about it then. Other than that, Vince is a genius. He'll put it in good hands and he'll cash out, and wrestling will be fine. It's like the NFL, WWE, on the same level as far as their respective sports. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine too. Like I said, I mean, they're
Just
always
like
going to be
UFC. Fertitta
Well, I look at
sold
this.
it.
I guess I think the one thing I find interesting is why are people upset by it? Like, why are fans upset by it? You fucking pay money to go see it.
Because
It's
they
not like,
think.
yeah, but they're
Because
not getting anything
what
from
I've
it.
been
You know what I mean?
what I've been
Like,
reading on the IWC community boards, they think that Vince is an old man, doesn't know anything. These people are like 20, 25 years old for the most part. They don't know anything about the past. They just see it now. They think, oh my God, Vince sells it. Triple H is gone and all this. They got that. They're coming from that place from like the indie feel, like the AEW feel. They think the big bad evil genius is back to destroy his own company. People are so stupid. He built the company. He's not going to destroy it. He'll put it in good hands. He'll cash out, and everything will be fine, and we won't even second guess it. When Fertitta sold US, he goes, oh my God, he's going to destroy it. They're going to destroy it. They left Dana in charge. We wouldn't even know the owner switched. Same thing here. Same
no,
thing.
I'm pretty certain that's the path that it's going to take. But I mean, it's the same people that were complaining about WrestleMania or tearing down all their territories. I mean, those fans were basically the young fans of those days who didn't know anything about the past, right? Or what the future could hold or what have you. So I mean, again, the people complaining, like you said, are the young bloods, are the newer fans, the woke crowd, as you like to refer to them.
And they're on the internet all day long, dude. All day long talking smack.
Right. So I mean, these keyboard warriors, really, are you making anything off the steel, people? Like, I don't see why anyone needs to be upset about anything, right? The world is
the show will go on.
The show will go on. I guess time will tell what the show will look like later on, or if there are any major changes are going to come down the pike, or what it's going to be. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's his company. It has nothing to do with me. I haven't invested in the company, so quite frankly, I don't see why people are upset about something that they have no control over. It kind of comes back to me at that point.
And like I said, he's built a business that all these people are coming that really, really love. They watch all the WrestleManias, all the Royal Rumbles. Those are all Vince's creations. And you don't trust the guy to sell it.
Yeah, no, hey man, again, each of their own. Respect to those guys. So things that I can control is the show. The Samp and Chance pod is the one thing that I have control over. So I put my energy and my effort to make this the best thing possible as well as you do. So, I'd rather continue focusing on this and making sure this is awesome and be prepared for whatever changes come our way and be ready for it and be at the front of it. So yeah, man, that being said, do you have anything for this day in wrestling history?
I don't, but I got a top five for you. I'm going to throw you a curveball. I'm going to add a little sizzle to the steak. It's not a wrestling question.
Okay, so
this is not your personal favorite. This is going to be impactful and, let's say, popularity and quality of work. I want to hear that your top five best English rock and roll bands instead of a Mount Rushmore.
Okay, so you broke up there quite a bit. So what I'm hearing is from you is your top five Best British bands.
Your personal top five favorite English rock. No, sorry, your top five English rock bands of all time. Not necessarily your personal favorite. I'm talking impact, popularity, quality of work, concerts at all. I said five because there's too many. It's just so many, right? Instead of the usual Mount Rushmore.
Pink Floyd.
Okay.
I think they are between Pink Floyd and and Led Zeppelin, but Floyd more so in my opinion. They are the modern, they're the pioneers of electronica and
Mm-hmm.
techno music and what have you. With the sampling that they did with a lot of their albums, they were well ahead of their time in terms of sound
Yep.
and creativity and what have you. So they opened the door for the likes of the Chemical Brothers, the Prodigy, in my opinion, in terms of sampling and techno and whatnot. I know that's a weird comparison considering the kind of music that they made, but I mean, in terms of the psychedelic scene, they
Yeah, that's
were
stoner.
number
Stoner. They're the
one.
kings of stoner rock.
Pardon?
They're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. That's
So,
one. Four more.
so, I know you want me to say the Rolling Stones, just terms of their longevity and I'm not a fan per se. I'm a fan of certain songs. I won't say I'm a huge fan of the Rolling Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they would have to be up there as well, just based on their longevity and
Okay.
and the quality of their work. Again, I'm not a fan of this
Three
band
more.
either. The Beatles. They
Yeah. They
revolutionized a
got.
lot of the scene and what have you. Without them, there's no Oasis. There's no a lot of bands that I enjoy these days. Um, so that's Pink Floyd, the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones I
Stones.
got so far. Um,
Two more.
two more. They're Irish, but I'm gonna put them in this group anyways, and I'm gonna say U2, just for again for their longevity, for the quality of their work and the albums that they put out and the influence that they've had on the music scene as well. I'd have to put them in that category as well. And last
Okay.
but not least, this is a tough one because I'm kind of, you know, I'm gonna say Oasis. I'm gonna put
Okay.
Oasis in there because they're a modern band that transcended a lot and really opened the door for a lot of Manchester bands at the time. Without Oasis, not to say that the Manchester scene was ever dead or anything. It was always going to be awesome, but it was kind of, if you knew the Manchester scene, you were a huge fan of it, right? It wasn't worldwide, so to speak. Where Oasis made
And they were one of
those
the biggest bands for a few years in the 90s too. So they had a
well,
big following.
Oasis opened the door for a lot of other bands in that region of the country to be heard and noticed worldwide. I don't know, like I'm sure Pulp, Blur, which is London based, obviously, but bands like that, I don't think would have garnered the attention that they would have gotten, in my opinion, if bands like Oasis, Spiral Carpet, Stone Temple, not Stone Temple type pilots, The Cult, bands like that really came into North America strong, which opened the door for these other bands to kind of emerge and get more
Mm-hmm.
international recognition. So yeah, those would be my five that I'd pick.
That's good. Yeah, it's a good list.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to have Beatles and Stones in there, right? The two most popular English bands ever. You have to. So yeah, that's a good list, and everything else you can kind of play around with it. I personally myself, like, yeah, obviously Beatles, Stones, Queen. My God, I have Led Zeppelin, obviously, maybe that energy, that rock, right? And then, I mean, it's either to me, I'm not a huge fan of them, but maybe probably got to put Ozzy in there.
Oh, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, Black Sabbath, Ozzy,
Yeah, see,
something like
here's the thing. I mean, Sabbath was really
I've
good
seen
as
Sabbath
well.
live and I've seen Ozzy, and I enjoy it, but I don't always like that darkness stuff all the time.
No,
But
no,
it's
but I mean,
good.
if you think about it, that time when Sabbath was doing their thing as well, it was just so awesome that time, in my opinion, as a kid
Mm-hmm.
as well. Because I mean, I I think I've said this here before, but I'll say it now if no one's heard it before. I was never a huge fan of the American music scene. Most of my musical taste, everything I enjoy listening to is all based out of the UK. It's always been that way for me. Maybe it's because my family's from the UK, but I never really got into the North American side of stuff. For me it was Iron Maiden, British band, Judas Priest, Black
Yeah, I'm not
Sabbath.
into that Dungeons and Dragons and Swords and Castles kind of music. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good singer and they got good guitars, but I'm not into that Wizards and Dragons and Swords and Castles, and
To be
I'm not into
honest,
that style.
with Maiden, I discovered Maiden in 1982. And for me, it wasn't so much the lyrics at the time as it was the guitars and the drums and just the sound.
Oh yeah, they're
The-
talented.
and
Yeah.
the vocals were just an added feature for me because they work so well. Bruce Dickinson's voice is just perfect for Iron Maiden.
Mhm.
So, it wasn't until later that I
Funny
started to
story
get
for you.
into
My
it.
my cousin Mike, he's about your age, and he had for many years in Vancouver. He had a Judas Priest cover band. They're called Screaming Vengeance,
Hmm.
and he played many times at the Commodore. He got to meet Judas Priest. Um, yeah, they're talented musicians. He's a businessman now. You wouldn't even tell, but yeah, his band was called Screaming Vengeance, and I think he made it like he's born in '75, so maybe '87. I was maybe 5 or 6. I heard him playing. I'm like, dude, I don't like it, right? But it's like, yeah, Screaming Vengeance. It's a local Vancouver band. He's on many big bills. The Judas
Cool.
Priest cover band. They started playing their own stuff, but obviously people want to hear the Judas Priest stuff. When you're called
Yeah, yeah.
Screaming Vengeance, I think it's a Judas Priest album or song. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not
But
a huge Priest fan, to be honest. Like I know
no, me
some of their
either.
tracks, but I mean, there was just so much for me to choose from at that time that I had to be very selective on who I
Mm.
wanted to follow and support. But yeah, no, Floyd is forever my go-to from that era.
Yeah, I like Floyd, but to me, it's more of a like. Don't get me wrong, David Gilmour, amazing singer, good guitars. Roger Waters is a genius. I get all that, and I like Floyd. I like some of their albums, but to me, that's more of a stoner vibe, and I'm not into that kind of stuff. So I like something a little more energy. I'd rather have Aerosmith, Little Van Halen, something to pump me up a little bit. It's
Ah,
so
no,
Floyd
I
is
get
great.
it.
They're one of the best ever. That's just my taste.
Yeah, well, no,
Some with
you're
a little bit
America,
of
man.
kick.
I know you're more of an American rock band guy, and I get that. And you know what? The
Well,
huge
I like
market.
Oasis, and I like Stones. I
No,
like
no,
other
no.
Swedish
But for
bands too. Queen.
majority of what you like to listen to, I would have to say, like, just based on you, based on what I know about you,
Yeah.
you're Team America, I'm Team UK, musically. That's just
Yeah,
the way we
that'd be
are,
right.
right? Like you're more into that good boy
Yeah.
rock and roll fucking stuff, and I'm more into the
Well, no, I like
concentration.
Soundgarden's one of my favorite. I like that grunge
No,
stuff too.
no, I know
I
what
just
you're
don't
saying,
like the
but
whiny baby stuff. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying like our styles are differentiated. You're into the rock and roll,
Yes, you're more
like the
UK
essence
American.
of rock, American style
Yeah,
rock and roll, with a bit of a heavy edge. I get that, where I'm more into the psychedelic.
yeah. Like Jim Morrison, I like his vocals. Right,
Yeah, see, I like the
those
Doors
kind
as
of
well,
vocals are.
right?
His voice is amazing. Like that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Steven Tyler.
Yeah, like I mean, I majority of what you like, bro, I'm not, I won't say I own any of those albums and stuff. I have nothing against those
Mhm.
bands. Like I like the songs that they've come out with. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, musically we're very different.
I like a lot of Canadian bands too. Like Tragic Hips, one of probably my second favorite band ever. Right, so
Yeah, I
it's
see. Yeah.
that too. But yeah, mostly North America.
Yeah. You're North America, I'm more Europe.
Mhm.
As far as Canada goes, to be honest, man, I mean, out of all the Canadian bands that I've come across, I'm probably I like the Tea Party.
They're good. I've seen them live. Like it's okay, but I
Like, I
see
mean,
them at Commodore like about
I
maybe 10 years
like
ago. Okay.
I don't like the Tragically Hip, personally. I'm not a
For
fan.
me, for me, what I like in a performer, I like something that's going to move around, puts energy. When Tea Party guy is just standing there trying to be mystic and trippy, yeah, that's fine and dandy. But I like a guy like Gord Downey or Scott Weiland or Steven Tyler's going to get out there and sing and dance and sweat and work their ass off and make you feel like, hey, you paid your money, and just some dude sitting there playing guitar that doesn't look like he wants to be there. I get tired of that. I'm too
Yeah,
cooler for the stage look. It kind of bugs me.
yeah, I guess so.
But
I
they weren't
mean,
bad. They got Tea Party's got some good songs. We got Rush. We got
see, I don't like
Tragically
Rush
at
either.
5440.
Can't
We got
stand
early
Rush.
80s.
That guy looks
Um,
like a zombie, man.
dude, Rush, I seen them. They played for 3 hours. They played an hour and a half, took a 5 minute intermission, came back another hour and a half. Like
The
they play
only
long,
thing,
long shows, right?
the only thing that I like about Rush is Neil Peart. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I like about Rush. Other than that, the lead singer guy looks like he should have died 50 years ago. Just skin and bone. I
Geddy
don't know
Lee.
what it. Sure, I don't even know his name, man. I just
Yeah.
know he wears
And
those
we
little
got Brian
round.
Adams, our most popular Canadian rocker of all time. Brian
Yeah, I
Adams is
mean,
up there. He's good. He's got some good
no,
stuff.
he's got some good songs as well, but he was kind of poppy for me, so I never really got into him. I mean, I listened to all these guys.
Yeah, but if you actually listen to his albums, he rocks pretty good.
Does he really? Okay, well, I'll give him a shot. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
not, you know, I have so
He
much
rocks harder
music.
than Pink Floyd rocks.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, Brian
know.
Adams got some. Brian Adams got some edge to him. Like, I guess he does have his love pop songs, but he knows how to
Yeah,
rock too.
yeah, perhaps he does.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, man, let's end it there.
Yep.
We got to get going
Yep.
here. We got some stuff coming up. Guys, stay tuned because later this week, probably this Friday, we will be dropping another exclusive on everybody. We're not going to say who it is. We want to
Mhm.
surprise the fans with this one. So if you're a wrestling fan, this is for you. If you're a wrestling fan born in
Good.
the 70s who watched wrestling in the 90s, this is going to be for you. Late 80s, early 90s, you know, I'm excited. I'm very excited. We will
It'll
be
be a lot
doing,
of fun.
it's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to fucking ask these guys questions and get the answers that I don't think a lot of people have gotten from them yet. So very excited for what's coming up next. Also,
Me
we
too.
want to big thanks to everyone who's checked out the Roger Stone interview. It's been met with amazing viewership. Thank you very much for that. Thank you to our new subscribers that have joined us on this journey. Again, a big thank you to Mr. Roger Stone for taking time out on January 6th itself to come on the show with us. So big shout out to Roger Stone and to
He was in
everyone.
good spirits. Yeah, I think he thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And like I said, it was clean. There was no controversy. It wasn't anything that
No,
anybody knew. If there was any controversy, it'll probably be at the end with his predictions. But even that, I don't think was controversial.
no,
But
that was good.
but
Yeah,
overall, we kept it pretty, steady and keel. And yeah, we I think we got a really good, we got a good side of
we got
Roger
a couple
Stone.
stories out of him that he's never really said before, so that was good too.
We got that as well, and but like I said, I think we got a side, and I think we showed people a side of Roger Stone that they haven't seen before. And I think that's the
Absolutely.
key here, right? You look at Roger Stone and other podcasts and what have you, it's very all the same, political, controversially political and what have you. That riles people up, and I get that. That's what pays the bills for him. We could say some shocking shit here too, but I don't think I'm ready to get canceled by anyone. But yeah, I know. Big shout out to that. On that note, I am Bobby Sampson, and I'm joined with the man, Mr. Chance Michaels.
And in the words of the great AC/DC, those that like, subscribe, download, share the podcast, we salute you.
We do salute you. And in the words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime and in between time, that's it for Samp and Chance. Everybody, we will be back at you in the next day here with something really, really special. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.